Sitting here with head football coach Joe Loth. And Coach, we'll start you off immediately here. Just give your initial thoughts on last Saturday's game against Ohio Northern.
It was extremely disappointing game for us. We went in there with high expectations. We didn't play up to our expectations on offense, defense, special teams. We played okay, but where we're at as a program, that was definitely a disappointing game.
Ohio Northern ran the spread extremely well in the first half, scoring on each of their first two drives. Would you say that the defense just needs to spend a bit more time adjusting to the new defensive scheme, or is it some other reason?
Well, we've got a new defensive scheme this year. We're running a new scheme, and I think part of it is this is the first team we played. We almost needed to play, in my opinion, Northern a little bit later in the schedule to be ready for them. I don't know if our scrimmage and our first game prepared us for the type of team Northern is talent-wise and putting all that stuff together. So it was a tough opening conference game for having so many new skill guys in offense and having a new scheme on defense.
And injuries seem to plague the offensive side of the ball, at least. We talked about Schlosser going out for a series, and Kenny Colmer injured his shoulder. I know you can't really give any specific details, but is there anything that you can give us information-wise on how the players are dealing with injuries?
Well, I really can't comment on injury-wise just for there's laws out there. Publicly I can't comment how they're doing, but we're doing the best we can with our injuries right now.
Now, I know it's only Wednesday, but can you describe the atmosphere in practice and in the film room this week?
I just think our guys are anxious to get back and kind of do the little things that we didn't do against Northern. The bad thing about playing a team like Northern, very talented, they took it to us, they beat us pretty good. But you can get into that film and figure out what you need to do better, and make vast improvements. I think our guys are really focusing and concentrating on the improvements they need to make, technique-wise, assignment-wise, to be ready for our next opponent.
You guys travel to Tiffin this Saturday, and you face a very pass-happy team in Heidelberg. From your perspective, how do you feel going into this game?
Well, first of all, Heidelberg is a very talented team. They're good on offense, they're good on defense, they have good special teams, they're a well-coached football team. We know it's going to be a huge challenge for us. We know that they've got a senior quarterback. They have maybe one of the 2 or 3 best receivers in the conference, and Mike Preston. It's going to be a huge challenge, but it still comes down to the same things. Whoever wins the turnover battle, whoever can run the football, whoever can play good special teams usually win those football games. And if you look back at our Northern loss, they ran the football a little bit better than us, and they won the turnover battle, and special teams was kind of a wash. So those are the same factors every week.
The Rhine River Cup has to be one of the most interesting aspects to this series. What are your thoughts on the rivalry, considering Otterbein hasn't lost, at least in your tenure, and hasn't lost since 2002?
Yeah, we haven't lost, but there's been some very competitive games, and we know Heidelberg's a good football team, and the cup is important to our guys, and I know it's important to their guys, and it gives a little more added incentive, but it makes the game a little more interesting, I think, for both sides.
As of last week, Austin officially has 1 year under his belt at starting quarterback after taking over from Jack Rafferty a season before. How much has he grown into the role, and what do you think, if anything, little things particularly, that he could improve on?
Yeah, I think the thing he does is gotten to the point where Jack really understood our offense as far as getting us in and out of plays, making checks, being able to look at the defense and run the best play, look at the offense and check and do a good pass play if we don't have the right one called. So his understanding of the offense is light years where he was a year ago. He still needs to work on it, and he'll agree with me, some of his footwork in the pocket. He's got to be able to, just drop back a little bit more and just have solidify his mechanics back there a little bit.
Now, obviously, one loss doesn't mean postseason play is out the window by a long shot. And this team seems to have a lot of pieces in place to make some serious noise in the OAC and on the national scene. I'm sure the team's goals are the same as they were before, but what do you think the squad needs to do in order to make the pollsters keep an eye on them?
Well, first of all, the last thing we're worried about is what the pollsters are thinking or anyone's thinking. To be honest, all we're worried about this week is Heidelberg. We're not worried about anything else. It's really a one-game season. We've got to put all our focus on Heidelberg, and basically everything else will take care of itself, depending on how you play. So the last thing we're worried about is the polls. We weren't worried about them last week. We're just really focused on Heidelberg this week.